All right. Mic check. I'm good. So I'm Ceron. Ceron, CWB Association Welding podcast. Today we have a really cool guest, welding podcast.
The show is about to begin.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the CWB Association podcast. My name is Ceron, and as always, I'm looking all over the world for the best and most interesting guests I can find. Well, today, coming all the way from Switzerland via the internet and many hours of time change, we have the wonderful Aimée Schmelzer. Aimée, how are you doing today?
I'm fine. Thank you, Max, and thank you for having me on the show.
Well, thank you for taking the time to be on the show. You know, I have seen your name and seen you in circles of welding for a couple years now, for a few years. And it wasn't until I had one of my colleagues here in Canada say, "Have you reached out to her for the podcast?" And I said, "You know, that's smart. I should do that. I should do that."
Yeah, I was really surprised to get contacted by the Canadian wedding bureau, and I thought it was really a great possibility to contact each other, get in contact.
Well, you know, it's one of the things we've already talked about offline is possible collaborations, and we can get into how that looks later in the show. But you know, for the listeners that don't know who you are, Aimée, let's start with a little bit of an introduction. So, you know, your current role is kind of twofold, or maybe even more than that. You know, I'm sure, like many of us, you do many things. But one of the things you do is
Yes.
you're the owner of ArtWelding, right? So what is ArtWelding and what is that company?
ArtWelding was founded in 2019 by myself, and it has a purpose to really beat the lack of welding workforce. And therefore, I did a lot of research. And out of that research, I tried to evaluate and to develop solutions for the market on how we can attract the next generation to the welding trade, on how we can train the new welders in a modern way so that they are, how do you say, that they understand the knowledge that we want to transmit, and also what we can do in order to keep good welding workforce in the trade so that they don't move on. And so I do, yes.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I do consulting. I do consulting for companies, what they can do, but I have also solutions on train the trainer, on leadership training, on welding training centers, what is combined with digital simulators. And also, I'm currently developing virtual reality products. One is for soft skills development for leadership. One is for welder safety. It's more like a game, but you know, it's a game, but then you get more attention to possible risks on your workplace. And the last thing is a kind of a job fair, a digital job fair where people can get into what are metal workers doing, what are welders doing, why is it important, why is our industry so important, and why is it worth to start an apprenticeship, for example, with welding.
So you really are trying to cover all the bases, you know, all the bases of
Yes.
what it takes to recruit, you know, train, retain, and then upskill throughout their careers, right from the day they decide to be a welder to the day they retire into, you know, hopefully a nice retirement.
Yes, exactly.
Now, what brought you into this world? You know, what I can sense your passion for the welding industry and the welders themselves as people, you know. So usually when I hear someone say that they care about the people, they care about the welders, they usually have a connection themselves to the industry personally. So, you know, are you a welder? Did you have influences in your life that were welders?
So yes, so how I came into the industry, my father, he's a welding engineer, and I entered like in 2010 into the welding industry. But and I must admit, from the first moment, I got the welding virus somehow, and so I was fascinated by this industry. I started within electron beam welding, but I think the passion for the welding workforce really came that right from the beginning, I was a lot of time in the production space, and I worked a lot of with the simple workers, let's say, and they transmitted a lot of knowledge, and I was always, recognized, and I was always a team member, and I just think that currently we don't give the appreciation to the welders what they deserve, and so mainly really like maybe working for the little man to make not the little man, but you understand what I mean. So it's really to make a change, that the work of the welders is really recognized, appreciated, well paid. Also, that's a very big issue, and because my big fear is that if we don't react now, if we don't change things right now, in 5 to 10 years, it will be too late. So that means that really companies will be unable to produce. As you know, a lot of people are going in retirement, and the young people are not coming to the trade. And then my fear is what will happen, because I mean, welding is really essential to our modern life.
So these issues that I hear you discussing are issues that we're having everywhere in the world. And often we get stuck in our own borders thinking, the problems that are happening in Canada are unique to Canada. Like I go to the United States, same there. I'm going to South America next month. It'll be the same conversation there. I worked in Russia and Africa, same conversation there. And
Exactly.
people think of Switzerland and they think of this small yet very strong country. And, it's interesting to hear that the same fears are happening in Switzerland. We hear that at Switzerland, the Swiss have great apprenticeship programs and a respect for the trades and teaching this in the high schools and younger, but there is still there's still the same issues, the same problems.
Yes, in Switzerland, we have the same problems. And I mean, we have like a so-called dual apprenticeship. I don't know if you have heard about that. That means that after high school, the young people are hired by a company. So they work for that company, but they have like school, and they have also like training workshops for handcraft trainings. But what I have to say is, I mean, the Swiss are very proud of what they do, but the thing is that so I'm looking for the correct word now, that the training so the training plan for the apprenticeship is renewed every 7 years. So that means that when the training plans are renewed, they are already outdated, as quick as we
Yes.
go forward. And the problem is that the training plans, they don't take respect to to how the young people today learn. So that
Yeah.
they a lot of I hear very often, we did it always like this. Why do we need to change? And very often, the young, you can't use this young generation for anything. But I think our generation, if we want to attract them, we have to change our minds, and we have to make a step towards the young generation and change maybe the way we transmit knowledge to them. And it is possible, but maybe not the way until we did it today, up until now.
You bring up a great point. It's something that we discuss all the time at various meetings is the disconnection between the technology, the pace at which welding technology is moving, the educational facilities, which are struggling to even get the technology to put in front of the students because they do not have the funding or the money or the support from either industry or government. And then the industry itself, who sometimes is reluctant to adopt the technology, and the way they do business can be very outdated. Like you said, they have a way of communicating and developing ideas that are not what the younger generations expect. The younger generations learn differently. They have a different world that they've grown up in. They, if you or I went to go sit in a classroom for grade 4, 12-year-old or 9-year-old child, we would think, what is happening here? They learn completely different, and they learn their whole life that way. And then when they get to work, we expect them to forget everything and learn the way somebody learned 40 years ago. That's not
Exactly.
realistic. That's not realistic.
No.
So the disconnect I find in that I've seen, and especially in North America, had to do with a socioeconomic reasons as well, just one of many. We told for 30 years our generations that the trades was for people that were of less intelligence or lazy or bad in school or from a poor economic background. They're
Mhm.
never going to go to university, so you become a tradesperson. And so we created this idea that the trades was only for simple, people with no future. And we know, look at you, look at me. We know that that is not true, that the sky is the limit and we need everybody intelligent, ambitious, everything. So
Exactly.
did this happen as well in Switzerland? Is this happening everywhere? Like,
I think it's really happening everywhere because it's the same in Asia, it's the same in Europe. So the trade is really not recognized already in the society, and that is a big problem because of course the young people say, why should I go and work there when it's not recognized? But I think, to be honest, it starts already, with our entire school system. I don't know if I cannot speak for the North Americans, but what I find is that we teach our children by showing them what they cannot do, what they do wrong. So this is wrong. When they write an exam, this is wrong, that is wrong. This year you made a mistake. So we don't teach them really. So look, this is what you are good at. And we don't give them motivation. We don't give them dreams. And this is a problem where also they struggle at the age of 14, 15 when it comes to the decision, okay, do I want to go to trade or do I want to go to university? Because we said you are only successful when you earn a lot of money, when you have a big car, when you have this and that and that, and not when we don't teach them. Look, it's not necessary what materialistic things you own, but maybe it's important that you are happy to go to work on Monday and you are totally satisfied with what you do, but still, of course, you earn enough so that you can grow your family or pay for your bills. Of course, that would be important. But I think we don't give our children really the possibility to dream and say, okay, maybe I start as a welder, but the road to success is open. Who knows where it takes me?
mhm. Now, for yourself, if we took that exact example to yourself, your life, were you a 14-year-old girl thinking someday I want to own a welding company?
No, absolutely not. So with 14, I was thinking about an apprenticeship in tourism. And then, but I got, at that time, they had enough apprentices. So I got rejected. And I said, okay, then I will continue education. And I did my high school. And after high school, I went to work in the financial sector in the Swiss banks and was there in marketing, and afterwards I was working in the IT sector. But it was a job for earning a lifetime, for earning money. And then in 2019, there was the banking crisis, and at that time, I was supposed to build up project where we rented IT professionals into banking and assurance projects, and that was stopped immediately after the crisis. And then for 1 year, I was doing bits and bobs and not really anything interesting. And then my father came to me, who was a welding engineer, and said, "Listen, I should get retired next year, and what do you think? Wouldn't you come just like an administrative assistant to my company and well, try it out?" And then I looked at it and I said, "Yeah, why not?" And then applied for it. And my mom said, "Oh, Amy, you have been working at the most expensive street in Zurich, but now you are going to the industry area of Oberwinterthur. What are you doing there?" And I said, "Hey, look, Mom, I cannot tell you, but I try." And after I had my really most extensive interview for 3.5 hours with like online IQ and EQ test, so they still wanted to have me, and so I started, and that was the best decision I have ever made in my life, to start with that company.
When you were a young girl, did you have a desire or affinity to work with your hands? Was this something that perhaps you always had the talent, but no one said, "Yeah, go do that"?
No, I even don't
No.
think that I had it. No, I was more like, the creative. I was maybe drawing, singing, acting, something like that. But
Mhm,
and I remember now, I mean, physics. I had to learn physics again, in order to know how the welding machine works and so on, the
mhm.
electricity flows and so on. I said, "Oh my God, that was so difficult for me at that time." So no, I did not. Absolutely not.
How did you find the learning curve coming from the financial sector, to the welding sector? There was a whole new, you know, group or region of intelligence that you had to access. How did you find that journey?
Um, at the beginning, very difficult. I mean, they when I started and I was down in the production site, they told me, yes, the weld preparation and what weld, what I know, what kind of welds. And I said, "My God, this is all a foreign language for me. I don't understand a thing." So it was very difficult, but I must admit, really, that I had. Throughout my whole journey within the welding industry, I had so um, good colleagues that they did not look at me that, "Oh, what does she want here in the welding industry?" But they really always were enthusiastic in teaching me and showing me, and I was eager also to learn. So it was because I mean, I have to admit, I mean, I started in electron beam welding, and that's quite a special kind of industry. We did job shops for various companies, and it was like the aerospace industry. We welded like atomic clocks, and we welded like parts that would go into space. We welded parts that would go into an airplane, also in the energy sector. So we always had different things to do, and I was really fascinated by the parts we got and how they are used. And so this was a whole new world for me, but I was still, yeah, I was somehow attracted.
Do you think you would have had the same, amazement and desire to follow this career if perhaps the welding shop was building trailers or farm equipment or a different part of the industry that isn't so flashy and exciting, because that's often what people show or think of when they see welding. They think, "Oh, well, I'll just be fixing farm equipment outside or building tables," or, which I always try to tell them, like, I mean, everything is important, but for you, it sounded like such an exciting job to walk into.
Yeah, absolutely. I must admit, I don't know if it would have had the same attraction. That's
Mm-hmm.
there. I'm absolutely with you. But I think, yeah, because I was not, I was not in the welding process itself. So I was more like in the administrative. So I was even far away
Mm-hmm.
from the welding process. So, and I could not, step into the welding process as a newbie, just
Yeah.
take the welding machine and weld it. So, but I think afterwards, when I started, so I made the international welding specialist diploma, and there, of course, we had welding classes, and also afterwards I took welding classes, and I really must admit that the more I do it, the more I like it.
Mm-hmm.
So I see now it's great to um, to sometimes switch off your head and just build something, and this is
Yeah.
what I say, that if you are in the trade, you come in the morning to work and you have like maybe 5 pieces, or you have a piece that you have to repair and so on. But in the evening, you see what you have accomplished throughout the day. When you work in the office with the computer, you switch on your computer, work the whole day, switch it off in the evening, and you would not be able to tell what you did the whole day.
That happens to me all the time. It's very frustrating.
Exactly.
You know, I
Yeah,
I
it
used
is.
to I used to be a welder for so many years, and I would go home and I could even tell my friends like, "Today I built this and then I did this and then I did this and that's my 10 hours and then I went home, tired, shower, have a supper, I feel good, you know. Plus physically active, you're in good shape,
Exactly.
you feel good." And now I sit here on my computer all day doing reports and proposals and managing stuff, and it you try to tell people what you do for a living and it's like doesn't even make sense, like it, and
Exactly.
it's hard to find that same sense of accomplishment. Plus I gained like 10 kilos as soon as I started working behind a desk,
And that's
so
that's also difficult. Exactly. What I recognize is that, for example, the people who really build something, then for example, when they work at houses, then they go by and say, look, I have worked in that house, and I have worked in that house, and I have done something here, or I have I do welds in these kinds of trains, for example, and you see the proudness in their eyes that they accomplished something, and they give something also important to the community. And this is something I think we can also emphasize for the next generation, that it is important, and they do something important for the whole society.
well, that was a comment I was going to bring up because this leads
Okay.
perfectly to it. Is with business now, your business, the business I manage, the businesses I've had, and just the way the world is evolving, there's a concept that's getting more important that I think the youth put it very high, but perhaps business still keeps it very low. And that's the idea of social responsibility, you know, ethically managed business, ethically managed work sites, and a social responsibility of your company, not just to make money, but to produce work that is sustainable and healthy for everyone involved. The footprint of the company on the earth, the workers that build the product, the management that runs it all, that every step be responsible to the other level. That is something that, is very difficult to to just create. That's something that comes out of, from the ground up like a tree. It's not something you can just make idea in the sky and say, okay, do it. It
It's
comes
Yeah,
from the
exactly.
it comes from the bottom up. And when you're talking about that pride of seeing something you built, that is something that we lost. If you look back 1,000 years ago, the tradesman, the man who made the wheelbarrows and the baskets and the constructions and the horseshoes and all these things, they were very important. Things did not exist if those people did not show up for work.
Exactly.
And And those people, those jobs, in one way or another, still exist today. And they still are just as important, but somehow we have taken the focus off, you know? So, how do we put that focus back?
So my how do you say, my vision is that so I made research on how that the recognition of the workforce changed with time. So when we go back after World War II, of course, within World War II, workforce was very important because of war reasons, okay. But afterwards, that changed very quickly. It changed because the academic formation was limited to a small number of persons. And this is something that, if not anybody can have it, then it was something that everybody wanted to achieve. But at that time, the difference between what academic people earned and what tradesmen earned was not that big. And after like the 1970s, with the globalization, the difference between the income from workers and academics really exploded. So I think before it was maybe like they earned 10 times more, and now it's over 40, 50, 70% more, times more. And but now the situation is, luckily, that we have a lot of academics, and the handcraft workers are getting less and less. So that means that the need for handcraftsmen is getting bigger. And I think that what I see in Europe is already that the handcrafts gets paid more. For example, it is like this: if you want to build a house in Hungary, for example, you have to wait 3 years until someone has time to build your house, or you pay more. So the pay goes already up. And I think it will be the same for the trades. So what the pay with regards to the payment, that will change. And even more if you consider now that artificial intelligence is coming into the game, and makes a lot of jobs obsolete. Formerly, those who work with laptops and just do like paperwork. But of course, like welders and people who work with their hands won't get away, because artificial intelligence will never ever weld. So, and I think this is really going to change.
Well, as there's always a natural shift, like regardless of what humans want, we have big dreams that we control nature, but we don't. And things will rotate on their own. What you said about the academics, becoming a little bit academic heavy, and we still need streets paved, we still need buildings built. We're seeing this everywhere. I agree with you. Welders in Canada are making some of the most money they've ever made, but that's because there's so few of them, and the jobs are getting so urgent and almost dangerously backed up. We talk about the supply chain. Well, COVID exposed all the issues with supply chain, that before we would just throw money at it. Well, now we know that that's not a solution. That is only a band-aid, a temporary fix. And we need now, we to identify these gaps: the age gap, skills gap, education gap, training gap, all these gaps that we find everywhere. And now we're running around as managers thinking, how am I going to attract the young, train them, teach them, and then bring them up to what I consider the adequate level of training to do with the things we need to do. It's a very scary future, but I think it gives a lot of opportunity as well. There's a lot of opportunity right now for people like yourself, with your consulting company, with the associations, the IIW, CWB, AWS, the Swiss organizations, Germans, the Australians, everyone. Everyone is seeing that right now we have to do something to try to bridge that gap. One of the things that you brought up, I think, is key in this, and that is that when you started working for your father and you started looking at the shop, you said you had some wonderful people give you information and educate you. And that form of mentorship, I think, is a big piece of what we're going to have to rely on. That we we may have to form more direct formats of apprenticeship and mentorship in our workplaces to say, okay, you know what, you're going to come work for me at this company. Maybe you don't have the training, maybe you don't have the education, maybe you only have a little piece of what I need you to do, but I'm going to hire you anyways, because we will find a way to teach you and get you what you need, because we can't just ignore this problem any longer. You know,
Exactly.
what do you see about, in the mentorship process? What do you think about that process with your company even?
So I think it's very important. So what I see is that, for example, young people. I made this also this research with young apprentices, and they really had very bad feedback on their teachers, on their mentors within the shop. And I mean, I don't know how is it in Canada, but I have to say in Europe, unfortunately, really the language within within the production shop is very how do you say
Rough.
rough, yes, exactly. And I think this is the first thing where we have to also to make some changes, to that leadership, they need to learn how to communicate in an adequate way. You can criticize, but it's always the fact, how do you do it? And also, try to have more empathy, because you never know what your the welder, for example, he has to weld with 35 degrees Celsius. It's hot. Maybe a drop fell into his eye, and still he had to continue to weld. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
but there is not that, because it was never like that. They always used to work in this manner, and so that's why they do it. So I think this we have to change. And I think what I also heard from the young people, they would like to have more responsibility. So why not? Why stick to what we used to do? Why not tell them, look, you are an important part of the team, so this is now your responsibility. Um, Try to figure out how you could do it. I'm here for you, or we can find it together, how you do it, and really like involve them more. Not
Mhm.
not just give them very straightforward plans what they have to do. And I heard sometimes back that they at the beginning they are not even in the production. They just bring the coffee. They have to clean something. They just do like very for work that's not really
Menial
related,
jobs. Yeah.
meaningless. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think this is, trust the young people and try, to make a step towards them and get them from where they are, not from our point and how we were taught in the old days, but maybe try to find new ways.
No, that's exactly, I think, the right things. And we expect people to just, the new workforce to just show up and be ready. But things move so fast now that that's an unrealistic expectation. And really, more of the focus should be on the existing workforce, the experienced workforce, the managers and the leaders, to adapt ourselves. We need to show how that spirit of communication can change. We need to show that these are great places to work. We need them more than they need us. So
Exactly.
so
That's
we got
very true.
so we need to understand that and say, look, I can't come here with big hammer and tell you what to do. I need to be nice and say, okay, what do you need so you can be successful here? And give you
Yeah.
that.
So it starts already. For example, what I'm thinking of, that if welders work like in shifts, yes, and you have like how do you say that someone who prepares the work or who makes the working plans and so on. And why not involve the welders? Why not tell the welders, hey, you are a team. We need to finish this work until that and that date. What is your proposal? When will you finish it? And if the decision comes out of the team, then they will carry it out, and even if they say, okay, one day I have to work 10 hours or, but I know I'm an important part. I committed to this, so I will do it. It's totally different than, the thing coming for, like you also mentioned today on LinkedIn, from up to down, and that they are just seated. I can tell you, I have heard about, companies where, every single minute is calculated what they have to do. They cannot go to toilet. These are not machines. These are human beings. Treat them like that. And you can even get much more out of it. And I say, why not, cut a little bit of the middle management and give the responsibility down to the welders?
Well, that's careful. You're saying dangerous things there, Aimée.
Yeah,
But it's
I
true.
know, but because they're absolutely able to think about it, and in my you say
Experience,
no, not experience, but I made a questionnaire to the welders. And there they said, that they are absolutely able to do and to take the responsibility, and they love the products, what they do. They are proud of the products, what they do. They're proud about their work. And I'm always like, astonished that, they really, every single weld they do, even if they weld since 15, 20, 30 years, they always try, this is going to be my best weld today. They are always too eager to beat themselves. And this is a motivation, this is great. And we have to, keep them motivated and inspired also. Yes, exactly.
Well, let's take a break right now for our commercials, because this is a great time when we get back after the break to talk about how you're trying to inspire them and the workforce of the future. Because we've only talked about one of your jobs. We still have to talk about the other one. So we'll be right back here on the CWB Association podcast with Aimée Schmelzer, here coming to us from Switzerland, and we'll be right back after these messages.
The CWB Association is new and improved and focused on you. We offer a free membership with lots of benefits to anyone interested in joining an association that is passionate about welding. We are committed to educating, informing, and connecting our workforce. Gain access to your free digital publication of the Weld magazine, free online training, conferences, and lots of giveaways. Reach out to your local CWB Association chapter today to connect with other welding professionals and share welding as a trade in your community. Build your career, stay informed, and support the Canadian welding industry. Join today and learn more at cwbassociation.org.
And we are back here on the CWB Association podcast. We're having a wonderful conversation here with Aimée, and we were talking about, right before the break, putting the power back in the production, the people that make the products hands. And I was at a presentation, I think last year, and the person on the stage said, one by one in each room, like, what is your number one resource, and say, oh yeah, well, we need steel, number one resource, fuel, number one resource, electricity. And he said, you're all wrong. You're all wrong. The number one resource is your workers. That is your number one. With them, there's nothing. So it doesn't matter what you do. Even if you lose the building, if you have the workers, you can still produce something. Even if you lose power, if you have the workers, you can produce something. So you have to remember that is the most important piece of the puzzle. Even if no managers don't show up, no bosses, no leadership, no accounting, nobody shows up for work today, they're the ones that still make the money and keep the company going. So, when you talk about trying to just making sure that everyone feels inspired and empowered, you also work with organizations, not-for-profit organizations, and trying to be out there and be an advocate, especially as a woman, and I love to see women in a position of power. I think that's the right vision for the future. Tell us a little bit about what you do as president of, the Swiss Welding Association, or the SVS in German. I can't say it in German, but tell us about. You're the first, I think, female president of the organization. So congratulations, and tell us what
Thank you
that's
very
about.
much. So the presidency is more or less like leading the Swiss Welding Association. But when I was asked if I would take the nomination, I said yes, I will, because I'm really enthusiastic about the association. I did my IWS with the association. I did a lot of projects with the association. So I'm really, how do you say, I'm emotionally connected with the Welding Association, and so it's really important for me that it goes on, and it has a bright future. But I think, yes, it's a change that now it's a woman as a president, but we also have the first woman as director, and we see things changing in. I saw a lot of other associations, where there were like, I don't know if I can say that, but where the leaders were like just talk to have themselves hear themselves talking, to have a
Hmm.
nice
The
dinner, and
same
just
old, same old, same old,
yes.
same old thing. Yeah.
Exactly. And so this is something now that we really want to change. So we want to really change also the association, to make it more popular, to make it younger. And I was at the Essen trade last week. There was a big
Hmm.
well, it was already 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. 2 weeks
And
ago.
I was representing, of course, also the Swiss Welding Association. There was an international welding competition where we had like 4 young guys from Switzerland there, whom I know from a Swiss Skills, where I've always been the whole week. And we had really like a great connection. It was like a family. And also there I was, so tense, to see how
Hmm.
we are going to do, and was very happy that we did very, very well. And it's also, to see. So this was a very nice, how do you say, moment for me, because I saw a young guy who's now maybe 22, who has participated twice on the Swiss Skills and now on this international welding competition. And on the first Swiss Skills, he did really bad. On the second Swiss Skills, he was third. And now for the first time, he got a gold medal. And I said, this is exactly what we need to show the young people. So he had a target, he had a goal. I want to
Hmm.
win a medal. So he tried to do the competitions. He came twice, then he had a third possibility. And then he did a lot of trials, and he worked hard. And then when you saw, how happy he was, and the emotions on his face, when he accomplished something. And I think this is something that we have to show the people. So it's, if you have a goal or a target in your life, and it can be, wedding is very good, because you can accomplish something that you also can see, and you do a meaningful job. And so I think stories like this need to go out to the world. What
Hmm.
stories of these young people. I think if we think on how we can attract the young people, it's difficult, because we see the eyes from a different point of view. But I think if we let the next generation talk, how they got into trade, why did they choose it, what they like about it, and also listen to what we may change to in order to attract more young people,
Hmm.
and do that changes, then I think we will have a chance to attract more young people.
Well, I love
So
that
this
you're a
is
part
one
of.
of
Yeah. Go ahead.
so this is one of my missions with the Swiss
Yeah.
Welding Association. Yes.
Well, I love hearing that you're so involved with skills. I also am involved with skills in Canada very much. And I
Mhm.
got to go to Russia in 2019 because my competitor that I trained, he got gold in Canada. And then,
Okay.
yeah, and then we went to Russia. and he got ninth in the world, which I was very happy about.
Well,
Ninth is
yes.
amazing. Like,
Yeah, I mean, we all know that in different countries the welders are trained differently. So yeah, we never so in the world skills we never get a good place. But we were very happy to win a couple of gold medals now in at the
well, we can talk.
CWB
I can give you some pointers, and we can maybe trade some information there.
Yes, yes.
You know, you're talking about attracting, more people, but it's not just more, it's also different. We want, and this is something that's problematic with the skilled trades around the world, is that there's no women. There's very low amount of women that enter the trades. There's very low tolerance for immigration. The integration of newcomers to the workplace. Are these also issues that you see within the Swiss Welding Association? And if so, how are you trying to, accommodate or you know work through these barriers that some people might have trying to get into the industry?
So what I see here in Europe or in Switzerland is that, for example, foreigners are very welcome to the trade, but only if they know already welding. So for
Mm,
foreigners who do not know welding, because of course the formation and of is always a question of cost for the
yeah.
company. So that is why they maybe would hesitate. This is the one thing, and the other thing, young women in welding. We have very little, almost none women in welding. But I think one of the things is, of course, as we talked already before, it's already a rough place for men. You can imagine what kind of place it is
Hmm.
to work for women. But what I have also recognized is, for example, when I did my practice, is to open the holder for the electrode for women is I could not do it with one hand, so I had to use two hands to open it, and then how do I put in the stick electrode? So it's it's also the machines are not really adapted for women. Maybe TIG would be a different thing. And another thing is, for example, I had welding trousers, but they broke. You know, already, welding trousers for women. I
Yeah,
don't
so
find
the the
too much
PPE is
things
not
already.
there, the equipment's not there, the environment's not there. So you have all these obstacles lining up, And I know
Yes.
there's great companies out there that are trying to fix this. Like, I mean, many of the companies that I look for to support in partnerships right now, especially, are companies that are trying to solve these things. There's a couple of great Canadian companies that sell only safety equipment for women.
Oh, really?
Coveralls, glasses, smaller gloves, smaller equipment. The the coveralls where they open in the back so you don't have to undress to go to the washroom. You
Yes.
know,
Perfect. Yeah.
so but how do we do this from a world? I'm talking to somebody on the other side of the world right now in Switzerland. I'm in Canada. I'm going to be in Chile in 3 weeks. I was just in the US last week. And I'm sure you're the same, traveling around. At some point, we need to start figuring out, how do we fix this as a group, all of us, because you might find a solution for a little piece in Switzerland. Maybe I find a solution for a little piece in Canada. Another colleague finds a solution in, South Africa. How do we start bringing this all together and doing some meaningful change?
That's a very good question. And there I have to tell you that within IIW, in this annual assembly in Singapore, we formed in Commission 14, this is education and training, we formed a subcommission that's called Attracting the Next Generation. And I was elected chair of this subcommission. And this is exactly, where we want to gather, industry, but also worldwide associations, and where we, talk about what can we do and how can we do it, and bring in like best practices from companies. What do they do, and share all this knowledge and make it possible to get for all other companies. And me, especially as a woman, I really see also my role a little bit as a as a diplomat for women, because when I'm on fairs and so on, a lot of and I'm there with a simulator, and then and the women pass by, and I say, hey, don't you want to try welding? And when I try to get them, they come, because they see I'm a woman with long fingernails, blonde long hair, and then it's not like someone in working clothes is attracting them. And then I really had a very nice a scene happened last year on a job fair, and there was a young guy welding on the simulator, and two young girls were passing by and not really looking interested. And I asked them, hey, come on, you have to try this out. We are welding on a simulator, but we have to try to beat this guy. Try it and just make more than 82 points. Please do it for me. And then she tried, and she really beat him. She had like 87 points. And then the girls went on and looked further. But after half an hour, she came back and she said, oh, I want to try once more. And then she tried once more. Once again, she had like more points. And then all of a sudden she asked, okay, what kind of job is this, and what are they doing? And then she really applied for trial apprenticeship. So it's much more, really grabbing them and trying to get them into our trade.
And I think that's exactly what we're going to have to do, and not just associations, but to we need to lobby to the governments and to the education facilities and the counselors and the psychologists and the teachers. Like we somehow that like we got to get this message across all the levels, of our industries and even of our society, because with welding, there's literally nothing that it doesn't affect in some way. All the products around us, everything around us is welded. And it's not a small piece of our industrial, heritage. It's a huge piece of it.
Exactly. I think what is the most important, we have to transmit the greatness of our industry, the greatness and the importance. And what I see very often is, we don't communicate in that way, and we don't show how great and how important our industry really is. And I think a lot of companies or associations do a little bit on their own. But as you said before, if we can somehow, get together and try to do something big, and make like I don't know. No, it's so big I can even tell it. But so in my mind is like really a virtual reality a job fair, a VR job fair, where we really have the possibility to transmit the greatness of our industry. So imagine you have the VR headset on, and you travel with a young man or woman. You go on a ship, you go on a power plant, you go on a train, you go on in the car industry, and they have maybe the possibility to everywhere put one line of weld and then gain some points, and then they see, okay, how important that is. But speak to the young in their language, but still transmit the greatness and the importance of our industry.
No, that's great. And I love what you're saying, and I love it. But I'm gonna ask a question about some of the obstacles to this passion and this dream, and this is something that I encounter all the time, and it's a struggle for me. I'm sure it's a struggle for you too. Is that so many people in this industry that from the older generations, they're in positions of power, they're in positions of leadership, they have no desire to change. They have no desire to see, this future. They are more concerned with their own legacy, their own relationships, their own financial gain. So for the little people like us, you know, who are trying to get up there and get this message across. I find that sometimes we waste too much energy trying to convince everyone about what needs to happen when we already know what needs to happen. How do you, as yourself as a professional, how do you balance working with this archaic old system, but still finding ways to speak to the new young generation?
I mean, also the top managers encounter or recognize the current problem of lack of workforce. So this message has arrived also at the highest level. And what I see, at least here in Europe, and so what I see is what they currently do is if for example a worker leaves, they look for someone who comes in intermediate, or they go to a marketing company that they look for the new worker. But what I miss is, they have, in my mind, in my opinion, they have to change their way of thinking. Is is the worker only a cost factor to my company, or is the worker a value generator? This is already the first thing. What value does he really bring to me and my product that I can sell afterwards? But that would already make a big change in recognizing the work of the welders. And then secondly, of course, is what can I do, to stop fluctuation, or to keep my good welding workforce? And I think a lot of people start already think about this, but they don't have, you don't see them in the welding in the production side. They sit in their offices and so on. And so, and me, for example, I do talk a lot with the welders, and so I know that. And for example, on Thursday I have one presentation to someone really high management, and I try also to provide him this information. So what can he do? It's not that he has a lack, but he has to first think about how can I retain my welders, or what do I need to do to make my company a great company to work for?
Yeah. And that's a very great point, is about, value goes in more than one direction. Value is not just money. Value has many layers to it for something to be valuable. If something is valuable to me, maybe it is worthless in terms of money, but extremely valuable to me. So, and time as well. Time is a very valuable asset. You never want to make a worker feel like they're wasting their time or your time, because time is the one thing that we can never get back, right? So you always want to make everyone feel like their time is valuable to you.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think it really needs to be paid. And I think that's therefore also the highest management, you cannot only count on cost and so on. And I see already small changes, but they don't really get as to my opinion, the big picture yet.
Yeah. So we're getting close to the end of the interview, and I have some questions here. I'm curious about just where you are, like for us North Americans, what's some of the main industry in Switzerland? What's some of the stuff that the welders are producing, or the main products that come out of Switzerland that are welded?
So of course we have the normal construction, like houses and how do you say, industry companies. But we have, for example, a great company, Swiss company, is Stadler, who is building trains, aluminum trains mainly, and I think they have also a subsidiary in the States, and a lot of subsidiaries, I think, globally, worldwide. Then the other industry, what Switzerland is very famous for, is the chemical industry. So, for example, we have the company Lonza, who has produced a lot of the Moderna vaccine for COVID. And of course, in Basel, we have like Roche and Novartis, so a huge chemical industry also. But we also have like energy sector. GE used to be here, ABB, and what else do we have? So these are so automotive, nothing, no shipbuilding. So it's more like railway.
So that sounds like a lot of stainless, a lot of aluminum, a lot of like
Yes,
high alloy steels, most of
yes,
that.
nickel based. For
Yeah.
chemical industry, of course. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but of course we also have steel in the normal construction
Mhm.
works. Yes.
So if a young Canadian wanted to go work in Switzerland, what kind of welding should they get good at?
I would recommend MIG and TIG.
Yeah, MIG and TIG.
MIG and TIG, yes, exactly. So I mean, it's also here what I see very often, for example, that in the atomic, how do you say atomic
Industry, atomic
industry? Yes. So
Yeah.
when we have like the yearly shutdown for the how do you say, what do they do?
Maintenance.
Maintenance. Thank you.
Yeah.
They are looking for 80 to 100 welders, and they come from all over the world, and they have to do the special tests, for welding. And I mean, maybe 200, 300 come, and 80 are then allowed to go into the production on to the production site to weld.
Well,
So
that sounds
the really
exciting.
yes. It is. It is. I mean, this is really TIG welding with mirror, and so this is really high end, I would say.
Well, if I might have to brush up on my skills, maybe I'll come work a little bit out there.
Yeah, why not? Why not? I mean, but I heard even in Australia they even pay more for the really good welders in atomic.
Well, some of the wages in
Show.
the world are getting, very high. I'm hearing
Yeah,
about $100 an hour here in Canada for some welders, and
really.
if not
Okay.
if not more.
Yeah,
So, it's really just coming down to the need and the lack of workforce. It drives the price up. I have a bathroom I need a plumber for. They told me, 6 months you'll wait for a plumber, or you'll pay so
really.
much money. Yeah, because nobody's going into plumbing, and there's no young plumbers, and this is a problem that we need to tackle, and it's not just about getting people in, but it's also about making sure that they stay. That's
Exactly.
and that's
And
a
I mean,
big
they stay
obstacle.
if they stay if the wage is okay. I mean, I have a welder friend here in Switzerland. He is like 36 years old, 2 children and a wife, and from his wage he cannot pay for the family. It's not enough. So the wife has to go to work, and I think that cannot be. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So how we have to
what's
think.
next on the list for you, Amy? What is it that you hope to accomplish, in the next year for yourself with your company, and then with the Swiss Welding Association?
So for my company, as I told you before, I'm now currently developing these virtual reality products. What is for soft skills development in industry? So really, it's with industrial workers. We do the scenes with the so welders help us to do like more realistic scenes, so that they refine themselves in the virtual reality, and also the VR safe, and also starting maybe with the virtual reality. Job fair. And so this is my biggest goal now for my company. And for the Swiss Welding Association is, yes, try also to get more like young memberships to the Swiss
Hmm.
Welding Association. And we are now establishing in IIW the Commission 14A. So I wrote today the terms of reference, and there also we try, to get in like, so my idea is to get in young welders, not academics, and to give them a voice,
Hmm.
so that they can talk to us on that annual assembly, on that important event, I would like, the IIW to invite somehow 10 young welders, so that they do not pay, that they see what we do, but also that they explain how they got into the trade, what they like, what we need to, do it differently, and what their opinion is, how we can attract the next generation.
Well, that sounds fantastic. You're going to have to let me know how to get involved with some of this work that you're doing, because I would love to participate as well. For the listeners out there,
Absolutely.
how does someone become a member of the Swiss Welding Association?
You have to pay the membership fee. That's all. And then you can go as a private person. And I'm even not sure if you have to be located in Switzerland. This I would have to read again. So, yes.
Well, I'll just throw in there that the Canadian Welding Association is free, and anyone can
Okay.
be a member.
No, we have a membership fee, but it's, I think, like something like $50 yearly. So
Not bad,
and
not bad.
not too much as a single member. But you have also like company memberships?
Not
No,
anymore.
nothing.
We
Okay.
we got
Okay.
rid of them. All right, and for the last little space, what would you like people to know? What kind of advice, or what would you like people to know about either their career path, or some inspiring words for the listeners?
Yes, so I would have never ever thought that I would get into welding industry, but as soon as I stepped in there, I was really, I knew that this was my way, and I just follow my path. I would have never ever thought that I would get this position in the Swiss Welding Association. But I always listened to my stomach and my energy, and I said, no matter who says what, I trust myself and my feeling, and I just do this, and I go my way straight up. And this is what I recommend everything. If you find your dream, your target, and your motivation, then follow that path. Don't let anybody, not your parents, not your teachers, tell you what you have to do. Just do what you really are passionate about.
I love it. Perfect. That's fantastic. And are you going to be over in North America anytime soon?
It's not planned yet, no.
Well, then we're gonna have to figure out when we all get together and meet again. I know I wanted to go to Essen this year, but Essen was at the same time as FabTech in
At
North
the PepTech,
America.
exactly, unfortunately.
So I don't know why they did that. Next year it'll have to be different. Yeah.
No, so the next Essen trade show will be already in 2 years. Normally it's every 4 years, but due to Corona, it has now a 6-year pause. And so now the next trade will be in 2 years, and then afterwards the 4-year rhythm will restart again.
Well, hopefully
So
2025 I'll be there to finally meet everybody in person.
that would be really great. And
Well,
I would love to introduce you, and somehow we can arrange something together.
well, we're still going to talk after this podcast. I have some ideas, and I'm sure you have some ideas too. So,
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I'm in next.
all right, perfect. Do you want to say hello, or send a shout out to anybody?
No, I greet everyone. I greet every wedding enthusiast, and I hope everyone, makes lobbying for our great industry.
Perfect. Thank you very much for taking the time today, Aimée, for being
Thank you,
on the
Max, for
show.
having me. Thank
And
you
for
for
all the
having me, Max.
listeners that have been following along, thank you very much for being a part of this. Make sure you check out Art Welding on online. You can just Google it. You can find it. The website, I just had it here, but I closed it. What's the website?
ArtWelding.net.
Artwelding.net. It'll be up on the release. When we release this, the link will be there. Also, Aimée Schmelzer is on LinkedIn. You can find her there. And if you have any questions, just reach out to us here at the CWB Association. We'll connect you or answer it as best we can. For all the people that have been following every podcast, Please keep following, downloading, and sharing. We're having great success. We've just got back from FabTech. We're going to have a special 6th edition run coming out of there with a very special cross pod that we did with Arc Junkies, Jason Becker, and the Welding Business Owners Podcast, Kevin Johnson. So that's going to be coming out in the next couple months. Lots of exciting things. And Can Weld in Moncton, October. We'll be out in Eastern Canada meeting all the great industry leaders out there. So lots of work on the go. Everyone stay connected. Let's stay together and keep working hard, and stay tuned to the next episode.
We hope you enjoyed the show.